Never seen a day like this before. But I heard about it, read about it. Mama told me back when she was a little girl how they went without, did without. But just as always, through prayer they went to God and watched Him make things alright.
Amber, alongside DJ Shortcut, Chino, Dean, and Caesar Swift on the ones and twos, representing the culture, the lifestyle, the music, and the DJs.
Hey, peace and blessings. This is Lucia D inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. for Honey Drop here on iLive Radio. Journey with me each week as I spin the latest international sounds in new soul, R&B, hip-hop, and a little taste of everything in between. Every show features independent producers from across the globe in the beats beneath, and the 10 sweetest vibes of the week smooth out the night in the 10 Drop. Honey Drop, each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, here on iLive Radio. Serving up audible treats like honey, always with a heavy beat drop.
This is Miss Care keeping you connected with your iLive 5x5. Brought to you by iLive Music, sponsored by Independent Hype, and powered by The Hook Entertainment. Contribute to the conversation by using hashtag iLive5x5.
For the latest and greatest in soul music and more, stay tuned to iLive Radio throughout the week.
Connect with our team at iLiveRadio.com or follow us at iLive Radio across social platforms.
Hi, my name is Derek Roach, local musician, music producer, and educator in Toronto. I hope everyone is safe and healthy during this time and keeping busy making your life and those lives around you better. I've created a support page for all local Toronto and Ontario musicians and entertainers called Toronto Musicians Fight for COVID-19 Revenue Rights. Our mission is to fight for the loss of income for all Toronto, Ontario musicians and entertainment professionals due to the COVID-19 virus outbreak. Recently, we've learned that the government is thinking about not extending the $2,000 we get per month. We need the CERB program extended and continued into 2021 until they will allow us back to work. If you have concerns or have been affected by this, please join our group. Thank you for taking your time to listen, and a big thanks to Jason Henry from iLive Radio for supporting local musicians, entertainers, and entertainment venues.
Attention, all musicians, bands, associations, clubs, and organizations that represent urban styles of music across Canada. Now is the time to rebuild our urban music nation. All urban music followers under one umbrella. Urban Music Nation is a non-profit organization committed to the development of urban music. Free memberships are available now. urbanmusicnation.ca. Urban Music. One voice. Strength in unity.
Ray Hendricks, Slipping into Darkness on iLive Radio. It is my pleasure to welcome you each and every Wednesday between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. to Slipping into Darkness, my selection of sublime jazz and conversations with very special guests. Tune in each and every Wednesday between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. to Slipping into Darkness on iLive Radio. iLive Radio.
Hi, this is Miss Law. Tune in to Talks Honest every Sunday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on iLive UK, discussing topics often thought of but never spoken. That's Sundays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on iLive UK.
Music back to back to back on iLive Radio.
check. Greetings. Hello, everybody. How are we doing on this fine, beautiful, gorgeous Sunday? I hope we're all doing good. Check. How are my levels? Yes. Well, hello everybody. I hope that we are doing well on this gorgeous Sunday. Today is the type of day in general when it comes to summer that you literally dream about. It is, it's a day that when you think of summer, it's a day like today. Warm, yet still temperate, super sunny, a little bit of wind, hot, but not too crazy, maybe too crazy for some, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself outside today. I hope everybody else did. Listen, I want to take this time to introduce myself, DJ Elegance, and I want to welcome everybody to the Music is Everything podcast. This is week number 3, and we have a very exciting guest coming on with us in about the next 10 to 15 minutes. We have legendary DJ, one of Toronto's finest DJs, DJ Grouch, who is going to be joining us today. And I'm super excited to have him on as a guest. We're going to talk a little bit more about his story, how we're connected, and kind of talking a little bit about the battle scene, DJ battle scene. We're going to talk about where DJing is now, maybe where we're going. So it's going to be a really fun segment, and I'm super excited to have him as our guest coming on here today. What I wanted to do briefly is just essentially chat a little bit about who I am, what I do. So I'm a DJ entrepreneur. I am a DJ instructor, and I also do a music and leadership program. So I'm a DJ for hire. I do corporate events, weddings, private events. Pretty much wherever there's electricity, I'll be there. The second thing is that I instruct. So actually today's guest is someone who was very foundational in giving me my first start. Helping me with becoming part of the DJ as to who I am today. So I, in turn, have also paid it forward. So I teach people from the ages of as young as 8 so far to about 60. And I also run a music and leadership program in middle schools and high schools across the GTA, Toronto, T-Dot, the 6. And what we do is I run a program called the Love Music Initiative. And essentially what we do is arts-based educational programs for young people in the city of Toronto. We focus on self-esteem, self-identity, self-regulation, and self-esteem, self-regulation, self-awareness, and self-identity. And so that's what we do, and we're trying to essentially make the learning experience for young people in our schools a lot more fun. My focus is to work particularly with youth of color. Predominantly, it's Black students that I'm looking to work with. So if you're watching online, I've done a share party from my Facebook. These shirts that I'm wearing, Music is Everything, I'm selling these shirts to assist with the work that we're doing. And they can be purchased for $25. The proceeds go towards snacks and go towards helping out. So if you're interested in that, please hit me up on my Facebook, and I'll make sure I get you a shirt. And that's essentially what I do. Now it's interesting, taking things into the virtual world, if you will, and doing DJ workshops with students privately on Zoom and WhatsApp and IG and Google Meets, and then also now in the fall, looking probably to also be doing the same. So that's sort of what I do. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, all the people watching online right now, this is sort of how I got into doing DJing, is through essentially party promotion, and then reaching out to other DJ mentors, going to Scratch Lab, which is now morphed into something else. We'll talk a little bit more about that later with Grouch. And that's where I got some of my first lessons from Grouch and a variety of other amazing DJ instructors. And essentially my passion of putting together curated promotional parties led me into the world of DJing. And now here I am, now 10 years later. I basically have, over the last 2 years running my DJ Academy, taught about 25 people. And I guess I just thought that all the advice that I give and also learn, I thought it would just be an awesome way to kind of distill all that information. And that's what this podcast is about, is capturing stories from other legendary DJs in the Toronto scene, sharing our experiences, kind of building a bit more of an archive, if you will, an audio archive of all the amazing work that's been done, capturing some of the amazing stories, and to essentially share best practices with up-and-coming DJs, event planners, videographers, camera people, anyone who works in the club, corporate, or event industry is who we're looking to engage. And we want to better the industry. And I think the more people can learn, it means that there's more people delivering a higher level of service, quality service. We have more DJs providing better music curation and programming, and that means that club goers, event goers, party goers, wedding goers, wherever there's music, they're going to have a much better interaction. And I think also too, just to uplift the art of DJs and to have us become a little bit more recognized with what it is that we're doing. So I think this is the goal of the podcast. And so if you're a DJ, an event planner, one of my friends watching right now, definitely pay attention to what's happening, because at some point we are going to have you come on and give you a chance to peacock and strut your feathers, as they say, right? Showcase who you are, what you do, and like I said, we want to uplift the event industry and the professionals that are in it, who work so passionately, who work so hard, who work endless hours, and oftentimes don't get the recognition or the clout that they deserve. And this is the opportunity, is to, like I said, shine a light on the passion that people have. All these amazing events that you see, all the award shows, all these cool things that happen, it doesn't happen just by accident. It happens based on working with amazing professionals who really, really care about what they do, and they want to leave a big legacy for the show, that show or event, whatever they're working on, that people will remember for a long time. So we're going to jump into the first segment of tonight's show. Once again, welcome everyone to the Music is Everything podcast. We talk about all things pretty much music related as it pertains to the music industry. And I've been sort of keeping close tabs on what's been going on in the event industry regarding COVID and things stateside, also things on the Canadian side. So things on the American side, we know that in Texas things have opened up, but unfortunately they've had to close again based on the lack of social distancing, and there's been huge spikes in numbers again. So I know that here in Ontario we've gone into phase 2, and people are really eager to get outside, and I know that there's a lot of people who are still concerned that maybe we're doing it too soon. There's a lot of places business-wise that are opening people with welcome arms, saying now we can start earning revenue again, and we can start getting back to, start doing what it is that we love to do, which is obviously serving the public and keeping our business afloat. So just kind of keeping my eye on things. Obviously, as it pertains to event professionals, we are keenly interested because this is how most of us make our living, unless you have other layers of income or other streams of income that you can rely on. So I know a lot of people are excitedly waiting to see how things will go, and I'm hoping that the cases in Ontario continue to remain low and that people do whatever it is that they need to do. I know that there's a lot of misinformation going on right now in terms of, should people wear gloves? Should they wear a mask? There's mask shaming. There's some people that say, what does a mask like? Doesn't matter. There's other people who say, absolutely, you should wear one. So it's kind of maybe in some ways tricky terrain. Maybe for some people it's a pretty clear-cut answer. I'm not really going to delve into that completely. Maybe that's for another podcast. But whatever you're doing, please be safe, be wise, be smart. Definitely seems that social distancing, I think we can all agree, no matter if you wear gloves or not, mask or not, we can all agree that obviously social distancing has allowed us to get to this space where we're in now. And that's that we have a chance to actually get into a phase 2. And I'm not sure what the phase 3 looks like, but we're here because we've all been doing our part, and so I hope that we can continue. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this first segment. What's poppin' is what I call it. Just kind of open things up. If you're on my Facebook, I mean, maybe if you'd like to leave a comment or talk to me, you know what I mean? Maybe the question I would pretty much ask is, for those of you who are watching right now, is are you wearing a mask when you go out, or are you not? Just simply leave a comment just saying, yes, I'm wearing a mask, or I'm not wearing a mask. I'd just like to see who is doing and who isn't, right? So I'm just looking here on my live and seeing a lot of people have kind of checked in to say what's up. So I'm waving at all of you, and appreciate all you guys hopping on here to rock out with me. We're going to have our special guest, DJ Grouch, coming on momentarily. So that's that question, guys. For those of you who are online right now, is are you wearing a mask or are you not? Just leave me a comment. But what I thought I'd do today actually is jump into a little bit of new music. And I must admit, I've been trying to find some non-commercial stuff for us to listen to and expose you to, but I also have some very commercial stuff. So I'm trying to strike a bit of a balance, because I know that there's lots of different music enthusiasts. But there's been a whole lot of new albums that have come out. And what I'd like to do is play one song off John Legend's new album that just came out. I believe it was probably, I think, about a week ago now. And it's different now, right? When releases are coming out online, sometimes you miss some of the online fanfare. But I'm going to play this first song off his album, and you can check it out. All right, here we go.
Ooh, la, ooh, la. Listen. Come and get me wasted. This is dedicated to that ooh, la. Run it to me real quick. I'll be going stupid for that ooh, la. Don't make me wait. I've been thinking about it all day. You know what I want. The second, the minute I'm home, it's ooh la. That's the only music that I wanna hear is ooh la. Get a little louder, screaming in my ear, yeah. Spin it round, let it bounce, up and down, think we found something. Smack it, flip it, rub it down to the sound of ooh la, ooh la, ooh la. You know I'm romantic. I'd cross the Atlantic for that ooh la. I wear my best tuxedo and you can undress me and we go ooh la. Don't make me wait. I've been thinking about it all day. You know what I want. The second, the minute I'm home is ooh la. That's the only music something. Smack it, flip it, rub it down to the sound of ooh, la, ooh, la, ooh, la.
All right, so that is a new banger by John Legend called Ooh Ah. I don't know, I just kind of liked it. It was kind of wavy, kind of silky, kind of sexy. So that's one of his new songs. And then we're going to throw in another song by Tiana Taylor. I think for some of you music fans, this will sound a little bit familiar, but I'll let you take it in so you can get a sense of the vibe of this song. I did play one of her new tracks a couple weeks ago, but here's another one off of her album, which I must say I've really enjoyed. For those of you not up on pop culture, Tiana Taylor is the wife of Iman Shumpert. I believe he's still with the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. He was with Cleveland for a long period of time. But yeah, she's come up with a couple albums last couple of years, and it's been really enjoyable. So I enjoyed her album, but here's a new song by her called Friends.
Tired of saying the same thing. You be playing games, man. If I had it my way, we be fucking all day. I'm good at giving back. Be careful what you do with that. Oh no, you gotta give it back. In the mirror from the back. Oh no. Sometimes I wish that I never was your lady. Sometimes I wish that I never let you taste me. You fold under pressure, get your shit together. He made it all better, you gotta do better. You want me to settle, you gotta do better, babe. If it ain't me that you want, if it ain't me that you want, boy, that's cool. If you wanna leave right now, you ain't gotta be locked down. Go do you. Calling is you up right now. I'm just trying to tear that room upside down. You ain't ducking in and out alone, is you? That ain't really good for my trust issues. If I ain't the one, I'm the two. Don't you go leaving me no room to assume. Tell me now, is you ducking in and out alone, is you? That ain't really good for my trust issues. Sometimes I wish that I never let you hear this. Sometimes I wish that I let you finish your business. You fold under pressure, get your shit together. You want me to settle, but I cannot settle. Cause I'm too rich to settle, you gotta do better, babe. If it ain't me that you want, if it ain't me that you want, boy, that's cool. If you wanna dip right now, you ain't gotta be locked down. Go do you.
I don't know about you, but I like that song. Very buttery, very smooth. So that was, again, Tiana Taylor, Friends. And being pretty active on social media, I follow a lot of different DJs, particularly some DJs in the States. And for all the DJs listening, maybe other music enthusiasts, there's a bunch of DJs in the States that also have a similar podcast, but it's actually 4 guys called The Road Podcast. And I guess sort of the main host of the show, DJ Crooked, he said, I'm grateful to be introduced to this next new group called, I guess they're called SAULT, SAULT. And they have this really, really amazing album that just came out. It's part music, part almost spoken word. Very Gil Scott Heron for all those music listeners. Just got this different vibe to it. And I took one of the tracks off there. There's a lot of different skits. It's really speaking to Black Lives Matter. And it's kind of a protest album. A lot of the content and stuff around the album speaks to social justice and what's happening during this time right now. So the name of this group is called SAULT, S-A-U-L-T, and I definitely recommend that you listen to them on whatever streaming platform you can. But this song is called Wildfire. So just try to take a listen to the lyrics and try to take in what they're talking about. Guys, just wanted to give you a quick little snippet. You guys, those little appetizer, you guys are going to have to enjoy the main course on your own. So again, that was a song by Sue called Wildfires, and I definitely want you to take that in. Now, obviously, a little bit less commercial. We're going to jump to someone who's very commercial, Megan Thee Stallion, a female MC that, I like her swag. I like her style. For those music heads, you'll be familiar with this beat that she, I guess, sampled and pays homage to one of the legendary members of NWA, Eazy-E. I'm getting ahead of myself. A group that I really listened to on the come up and got very familiar with this legendary group and all that they were about, kind of rocking social norms. This was in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's kind of amazing to see how music just continues to live. So this is her song to her rendition of remake of Eazy-E's version, which is called Boys in the Hood. Hers is Girls in the Hood. So just take in the first little bit. You'll definitely be hearing a lot of this on the airwaves, so I won't play for too long. Take it in.
Being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live. Whack, hate under my pictures on the gram. You better hope I never run across your man. In the mall with him, I'ma have a ball with him. Somebody call Rihanna, I'ma buy some draws with him. He fucking with the stallion cause he in the wild women. Put them legs on his head, now he love tall women. You'll never catch me calling these daddy. I ain't lying by my nut just to make a happy. Lifestyle when a can't fit a magnum. It never happened if the wasn't snapping. I'm a hot girl, I do hot finish income on my outfit. I don't text quick, cause I ain't thirsty. These bitches mad, they wanna hurt me. I'm a hot girl, I do hot finish income on my outfit. I don't text quick, cause I ain't thirsty. These bitches mad, they wanna hurt me. Any room about me, let me get it. I'm an open book, and your man probably read it. Look at my AP, and these girls still pathetic. Real back when I check my protector. Yeah, call me patty cake, cause the way that shake, I'ma make them me out while I'm watching anime. See like a wild fox looking for a Sasuke. One night with them, make them lose it like a prom date. 2 watches, yeah, call me 2-timing. Skin like gold and my teeth like diamonds. Hot girl chain, Elliot, got me shining. They tried to knock me off, but a still grinding. I'm a hot girl, I do hot finish income on my outfit. I don't text quick, cause I ain't thirsty. These bitches mad, they wanna hurt me. I'm a hot girl, I do hot finish income on my outfit. I don't text quick, cause I ain't thirsty. These bitches mad, they wanna hurt me. I'm a rich little magnet, pretty with a fatty, 30-inch weave with the long eyelashes. Yes, I got a man. If I don't like who asking, I don't stand outside cause I'm too outstanding. Cause the girls in the hood are always hard. Ever since 16, I've been having a job, knowing nothing in life, but I gotta get rich. You could check the throwback pics, I've been that bitch. I'm a hot girl, I do hot finish income on my outfit. wanna hurt me.
All right, there you have it. So that's Meg Thee Stallion's newest song called Girls in the Hood. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're feeling that track or if you're feeling any of the others. I think you're going to be hearing a lot more of it. It's kind of catchy, got a little bit of a bounce to it. So yeah. So that's a few new songs that have come out, and I definitely want you guys to keep your ear open for some of this new music that's coming out, and I look to definitely showcase some more new stuff to you guys so that you guys can sample and enjoy some different stuff, and be more exposed, more enlightened to a lot of stuff that's going on. That's definitely something that I plan on doing in this segment of of what's popping, right? I want to kind of open things up and have some different flavors in there. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to be bringing in my first guest momentarily. What I'm going to do is we're going to take a little quick song break, and I'm going to bring him in a moment to have him chat with us. It's legendary DJ Grouch. There's a bit of a tech issue on my end, so I'm going to get this fixed and then get him on. So I do want to thank one of our listeners, Kim, who did chime in with a comment about saying no mask. So I want to hear from more of you guys in terms of what are you doing if you're going out? Are you wearing a mask? Are you not wearing a mask? So let me know. So right now we're going to have another song that I'm going to play. We're going to take a quick sort of song break, if you will, and then we're going to bring in our guest. All right, guys, here we go.
We got London on the track.
I should've known better. Can't even pretend like I don't want it again. On the brain all the time. Thinking about the things that we did. You did something. But shit like this don't happen too often. It's the way you put it down. I don't want no one else around. Got me taking a step on the wild side. Cutting all ties with them other guys. Where you in my eyes, helping me nice and slow. You made me wanna come through, quarter after two, just to put it down on you. You made me wanna replay all of the things that you and me went through. You made me wanna come through, quarter after two, just to put it down on you. You made me wanna replay all of the things that you and me went through. Look at what you made me wanna do. All my niggas for you. Got my feelings running on the loop. This ain't what I'm really used to.
Before anything happens between us, be sure you 10 toes down before I pull out this card. And the only thing that's coming beside me at the situation is you waiting and get some more. I told you I'ma take your places. I seen it in your face, and I knew that you would say it. So how you wanna play this? Yeah, you got somebody. I've been in this predicament. Don't trip, creep discreet. That's just what we dealing with. Come through, corner after two,
just to put it down on you. You made me wanna replay all of the things that you and me went through. You made me wanna come through, corner after two, just to put it down on you. You made me wanna replay all of the things that you and me went through. I drop all my niggas for you. Got my feelings running on the loop. This ain't what I'm really used to.
Are you there, sir?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. I got you now. I got you.
Yeah, I think it was, I don't know, for some reason I couldn't call you, and now you called me, so that worked.
I took care of it, sir. I took care of it. 1 second here. 1 second. All right, the joys of technology, right, my friend?
Yes, and the joys of radio, live radio.
There you go, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to thank our special guest, the legendary DJ and one of my good buddies, my hermano, DJ Grouch, for coming on. Wow, what can I say about this guy? Let me just revert back to 1 second, good sir. It's my third week here on the show, so
you're working out
my process. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Exactly.
So I want to thank DJ Grouch for coming on. This is his quick elevator snippet of who he is. Born in Panama, the Toronto native has always been around music. He has performed with various Canadian and international artists, traveling across North America, Canada, U.S., and Europe. With over not 10, not 20, but 30 years of experience, Grouch has played in almost every club and venue in Toronto. He has been a special guest DJ on several occasions at the Raptors halftime shows. We're still the champs. He is he is currently the DJ for the godfather of hip-hop in Canada, Maestro Fresh West, and also Fido Blanco, and is part of Toronto's Spanglish hip-hop group Los Poetas. As of late, his main focus has been on his production skills, releasing various edits, remixes, and original tracks under the name Grizzart. Grouch has also been teaching the art of DJing for over 15 years. As I did mention in my prelude, he's one of my earliest teachers, and he's currently an instructor at the Trebas Institute, Regent Park School of Music, the Remix Project, Four Sound Music, Plady Record, and is a mainstay in Toronto's nightlife scene. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together. DJ Grouch, how are you, man?
Slow clap. Chilling, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, it's an honor and privilege to kind of, I guess bring it full circle, man. I mean, I've known you for so many years, No,
I know. I'm gonna turn this mic around so I can kind of look at you as I'm talking here. It's weird because I'm looking at you on this one monitor, but then I got my live camera on the other camera, so my head's gonna be turning back and forth.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All I see is a blue screen on my end. I can see myself in the corner window, but I don't see you per se. But
okay, all right. Well,
it's all good. I'll make it seem like we're talking to each other in front of each other.
It's all good. So yeah, I mean, we for I guess all the listeners again of those that just joined us, Music is Everything podcast. We talk about everything DJ related. And Grouch and I have known each other, or known of each other, and known each other from high school days. So we don't want to date ourselves, but definitely an interesting time. And it's interesting, I guess, just kind of being in the scene more as a party goer and kind of getting a sense of who you were and what you did, but not really fully necessarily understanding it, because in those days, in our day, we didn't really have social media the way that everyone has it now. So the only way for us to really see what you're about and what you're doing was to actually be there live. Now, listen, I know we're going to talk a lot about you as a DJ, but I guess my first question that I had for you is, again, we know you've been a long-standing DJ in the DJ community. I guess my first question was, can you play any other instruments?
Sorry, you cut out there. What was the question?
Oh, I was saying, can you play any other instruments?
I mean, no, not really. I'll say I can play the turntables and I could play a drum machine. You know what I mean? I can play a sampler. That's about it.
Okay. So it's interesting. My path into becoming a DJ, as I did mention in my preamble, was that it was sort of promoting nightlife parties that got me involved. But actually, I couldn't play anything to save my life. I played the recorder in grade school, and have you ever owned a cat?
But yeah, I had a cat as a kid.
So you know what happens when you step on a cat's tail? That sound it makes?
Yes.
That's how I sounded on the recorder. So I just kind of quit music, but then got into DJing later on. So that's cool. So, I guess for me, I'm curious. Your bio said that you sort of been exposed to music, loved lots of music. So who were some of your musical artists, maybe like a family member, or which types of artists were your earliest influences that kind of drew you into maybe wanting to experiment with DJing or just started creating that love of music? Who were some of those earliest influences?
Well, definitely my parents, you know what I mean? Like they were always playing music. My parents are, had, very distinct tastes. My mom was, they were both into the Latin music from their homelands, you know what I mean? Like my mom being Panamanian, my dad being Colombian. They're into the salsa, the merengue, all that stuff, cumbia, boleros, all that stuff. But I mean, my mom liked, Motown and the Beatles. And so I heard a lot of that stuff growing up. And then my dad liked country music a lot. He would play like, Glenn Campbell, Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers.
Uh-huh.
But he also dug like soul music, like Barry White. He would play Barry White a lot. And so I grew up hearing all that stuff. But what gravitated me towards DJing was hip hop, hearing hip hop for the first time. I grew up in a metro housing project in the West End. Shout out to Scullerwood Courts. That's where I grew up. And I just remember from like, could have been like 10 years old, you know what I mean? Just 9, 10 years old hearing, hip hop and like distinctly remember hearing Planet Rock.
Okay,
and that was my introduction into hip hop, you know what I mean? And Herbie Hancock Rocket. I would say those two songs.
So for all you YouTubers and people who want to get your Googles on, as they say, African Bambaataa, legendary DJ, that's a song that kind of really, I guess in my mind, through my research, kind of really helped spread the genre of hip-hop all over the world, right? So when did you get your first set of tables to like actually DJ on? Did you have like something at home, or did someone buy something for you, or when did you kind of start getting into maybe elevating from just putting on the record to kind of manipulating it or actually playing records?
So the first record I remember buying as a kid, I think I bought it at, there was a record store, I think it was called A&M Records or AM Records or something. I believe it was in Rexdale, one of those. Was it the Albion Mall, I think? I remember buying that as a kid. I bought Sheila E., The Glamorous Life on 45.
Okay. It's a big
record. It was a big tune. Kind of had a crush on. No, not kind of. I had a crush on Sheila E. as a kid.
Everyone did. Who didn't?
Yeah. Prince had all the hot girls, you know what I mean? Shaka Khan too. But anyway, so my dad had a little setup in the living room, and so like when I was like about 13, I would always just play his records or whatever. But I started wanting to become a DJ when I was about 13 years old, and that summer I started like behind his back when he would go out with my mom. I would take his records, and I would proceed to scratch the shit out of them. I can cuss, right?
This is an adult show. Yes, you can.
Right?
Yeah, you can also refrain.
Wow.
I'm also a lover of that too. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that'll be the extent of my cussing. But yeah, so I basically proceeded to shred apart his records, learning how to DJ. Like I was scratching primarily. So you had a turntable and a mixer set up. This mixer had 4 channels. It didn't have a crossfader. So I learned that's why I DJ what they call a hamster or reverse style, because I learned on the channel faders. He had a realistic mixer with just 4 channel faders. And so I would just start cutting that way. And it wasn't a DJ turntable. He had like some German turntable. It had like the automatic, when you press start, the arm would move over and then the needle would drop automatically.
Oh, that's the one I had. That's the one I had. It would take forever to get the record started.
So I somehow figured out how to, I broke that mechanism so I could just put the needle where I wanted to, and I figured out, okay, this stupid rubber mat underneath is not going to help me scratching, so I grabbed a piece of wax paper from my mom's, kitchen cupboard and cut it in the shape of the shape of the record. Put that on, and boom! I had like a slip cueing. I could cut on it better and stuff. And so basically, 2 years later, right before my 16th birthday, I begged and pleaded, and I told my dad, hey, I need a Technique 1200. That's the turntable I need. Can you buy me one? He's like, sure. If you can, do better in school, I'll get it for you. So that my birthday falls like during Christmas time, and it became my Christmas. Well, I always got one present anyway because I was born right after Christmas. So so basically, he's like, he took me. He took me to Spectacular Sounds, that store on St. Clair, and here in Toronto, and he bought me my 1200 for my first 1200. So I got my first turntable, my first Technique 1200 in 1989.
Okay.
And
if you could just quickly break down, sort of the cost of what that would have been, just so that people kind of understand the sacrifice that was made for you to get this.
Well, it was definitely expensive. I mean, this turntable was like $599, $699. In that era, that was like 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So, if we put that by today's standards, you're looking at like an easy like $1,000. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't cheap.
Right, and that was just for one, right?
Pardon?
That was just for one turntable, correct?
Yeah, one turntable. He got me the one, and I remember I've told this story before, but it's always funny because it makes me chuckle. Like, my dad in his thick Colombian accent, he buys the turntable. He goes, happy birthday, Feliz Navidad. He goes, do you want the other one? You gotta buy it yourself. That's what he told me. So needless to say, I didn't get the other turntable till like 1994. So yeah.
No, the money's not hard to come by. Or sorry, the money's not easy to come by, right? So
No. And you know how it is, man. Like when you start DJing, you're not getting paid. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot of free gigs. You're trying to get out there. And I mean, I was navigating something I'd never done before in my life. You know what I mean? It was all new to me.
Right. And so, so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, now you're 16, you get your turntables, you're, elevating your craft, kind of moving into maybe the years where you're, hunting and finding gigs and stuff like that. And then I think for some reason I never really knew, again, because there's no social media, I never really knew how big you were until years later. So like, how did you start getting into the DJ competition scene, and like what drew you into that?
Really, it was the movie Juice.
Okay.
So I remember I never knew anything about DJ battles, and like I never seen a DMC. I've seen videos of Jazzy Jeff, or on Rap City, when they would show footage of Jazzy Jeff for Cash Money. But everything else was just like listening to records, you know what I mean? So when the DJs would come on and do the cutting on the songs, that's what really, that always grabbed my attention, you know what I mean? Aside from the beats, it was the DJing. Right. And so just hearing like, Cash Money or Jazzy Jeff or DJ Scratch, DJ Aladdin, those are the dudes that really influenced me, I would say, Richie Rich from Third Base, Daddy Rich, all those cats. And I would just do my best to try to emulate what they were doing or figure out what they were doing on records and then put my own twist to it. And so, but when I saw Juice, and I saw the battle, I was like blown away. I was like, yo, I remember going to watch the movie and with all my homies from Scarlet Records, and we all went to Sheridan Mall right in the hood at Jana Wilson. And I remember everybody was in that theater, man. Like Mishi Me, Quadro from Ghetto Concept was at that that showing. And I brought a cassette recorder, little one of those tape machines that you record, and I record all the DJ segments on tape.
Nice.
So I would just listen back, and I was just blown away by it. And then, lo and behold, like a year later, I entered my first battle, and it wasn't even by my doing. Like I didn't go looking for it; it came to me.
Okay. So just pause there. So just, for, everyone watching the show, welcome again to the Music is Everything podcast. We're here talking with legendary Toronto DJ, DJ Grouch, and we're talking a little bit about his journey. I guess for some people that are listening that I know aren't sort of DJ nerds like us, if you will, for people to understand, the amount of money at that time to put into getting a turntable, but then also to listen to these routines that you'd have to, really spend a lot of time arduously trying to record things or find the outlets to find the stuff. There was no YouTube, Instagram. There were no popular platforms that were carrying this. So in order for you to kind of hear this, perfect your craft, you really had to dig down deep in order to get around this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out to people so they have a bit more of a context. So any older school hip hop listener, fan, DJ, we're talking to pioneers right now. Grouch is one of the pioneers in Canada for really blazing a trail for others and really kind of laid the foundation for a lot of other DJs to follow. So just looking at my time here. So a question I had for you is, sort of in those early days, you did mention a number of DJs. Were those DJs that you looked up to, like Aladdin, Jazzy Jeff? Were there some other DJs that were really crucial to your growth that may have been more local, or was it only DJs abroad that you could look at?
No, definitely there was local as well. I mean, on the radio, I would listen to DJ X and Mastermind and Power, all those guys, man. They were all dope. I grew up on that. You know what I mean? That was the place to be on a Saturday, 1 to 4. 89.5 on a Saturday night as well with the Master Plan show. There was local cats that I looked up to, man. I like, that I thought were dope. There was Villain, was a dope DJ. He was in all those early battles out here in Toronto. There was a cat from my high school, actually, and I'm sure you knew him too, a guy by the name of Remus, or Remus, depending on how you pronounced it. But he was like a Jazzy Jeff in those days in high school. You know what I mean? Like, he was doing all that stuff. I remember he came over to my house, and I was just blown away by what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he could imitate all those cats like that were out at the time.
Wow.
So yeah. And I mean, so yeah, like, definitely. It was, and then when you start entering those battles, you start meeting like-minded individuals and people on the same path, and then you just start connecting. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. So I wanted to know if you, maybe it's slightly painful, but I know that you are a battle champion, but I wanted you to maybe rehash the A-Track story, because I know it's maybe a little bit painful, but it was also kind of funny. It was also kind of funny hearing the story. Just so people could kind of get a sense of what was happening at the scene at that time as you started perfecting your craft and kind of assembling a bit of a crew. Could you talk to us a little bit about, like, what goes into preparing for a battle, and then the A-Track story? I just, I know it's painful, but I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure, like, a lot of listeners know who A-Track is. He's probably one of Canada's biggest DJ exports. You know what I mean? And so we basically faced A-Track when he first, came out on the scene. So, to give you a little bit of backstory, we were already making noise. We were the guys in the scene in Canada. We were getting, when I speak of I'm talking about myself, talking about Little Jazz, and talking about D Scratch, who made up Turnstiles. Also, rest in peace to Son of Soul. We were the crew.
Yes,
and we had cosigns from like Rock Raider, rest in peace, and the rest of the Executioners. We were making some noise, and we were winning all the MC battles. So like from 95 on, we were reigning supreme. And then along comes this kid from Montreal. And, there was no internet back then, and there was no, no YouTube, whatever. So word got around that there was this little kid who was going to enter the battle, and he was like really, really dope. And we were like, yeah, whatever. I mean, we were the guys. And, this kid was 15. And so, mind you, like, I had like, I was like 23 at the time. D was 22. And Jazz was like a little bit older than A-Track. I think he was like 18. And, yeah, we go to the Canadian finals. And it was in Montreal that year, 1997. Pardon the sirens.
No,
the block is hot. So we head to Montreal. Two van loads of us and our friends, our supporters from Toronto. We go to Montreal. We get down there for sound check. We met Qbert, who was the one of the judges for the battle.
Another legendary DJ for those who don't know.
Another legendary DJ, yeah. And we, it was really dope to meet him. And that's actually how we ended up on that DVD called Canadian Kung Fu, which he put out with the Scratch Pickles, which showcased his trip to Canada and the DJs that were coming from there, mainly us and A-Track. And so we did our sound check. It was good and everything. And up walks in this little kid with his. So this little kid who's like, he looked like he was 12.
He still looks like
15. I mean, he still looks young, man. A-Track just keeps young. I mean, I don't know. He's got some good genes, but. And then he walks in with his brother, who we know is now part of Chromeo. Right? Dave One, who's like, so it's funny because it's like what was that movie with Danny DeVito and Schwarzenegger?
Was it Twins or whatever?
It's Twins, yeah. So it's like you got one brother who's like, yay, apples high, and then you got the other brother who's like 6'7" or Dave One's pretty tall.
Right. So Grouch, pause 1 second. I'm going to have about 30 seconds, and then we're going to cut to a commercial at the top of the hour. So just stay on the line here with me. We got about a 5-minute gap, and the commercials will run. So just put yourself on pause, and then after the commercials finishes, then we'll continue this conversation. So it's probably going to cut off about now.
All right.
fundraiser page to help raise money for PPE masks desperately needed. To donate to this fundraiser, please go to Facebook and type in the heading, "How about a round of applause, PPE medical fundraiser," and donate what you can. For the song, you can go to YouTube and type in, "How about a round of applause dash for Canada's frontline workers." We thank our sponsors, Harris Institute, Personas, Audio Technica, and Rob Papen Virtual Synth Software for your support. Big thanks to you in advance and Jason Henry from iLive Radio for supporting us for this worthy cup.
Hip.hop.soul. It's your boy Merch Millions. Boy Wonder. Every Friday, 9 p.m. till midnight. We play soulful hip hop, neo soul, alternative hip hop and R&B with exclusive edits and remixes. Check us out. LDN.com. Hip Hop Soul Radio on iLive UK. Changing the way you listen to radio.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the studio. Grouch, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome everyone to Music is Everything podcast, where we talk about all things musically related as it pertains to the club, corporate, and wedding industry. And tonight we have 30-year veteran DJ, turntable master, music curator, producer, DJ instructor, my homie, good friend, DJ Grouch. So we were talking a little bit about a story from the old days where DJ Grouch was in a competition with his crew with another now also legendary DJ, producer, A-Track. So let's have you finish that story.
So yeah, we had just done our sound check. We were really confident. You know, I mean, we were those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in walks this little kid and basically stole the thunder. You know, took the rug right beneath our feet. You know what I mean, so to speak. And he proceeded to do his sound check, and we, you know, our jaws dropped because we had this little kid who, like I told you, was 15. You know, it's about 10 years younger than us, and he was doing the stuff that we were doing. You know, we're grown men, and this guy's doing, like, you know, things that we were doing. You know what I mean? So I was just like, wow. And right there and then, like, not to be a defeatist because I'm not, but I was just like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna win this. And you know, and then in retrospect, when you look back at it, like the guy who ran the DMC, the owner of the DMC was this guy named Tony Prince from the UK. That's where the DMC is from, and he never came out to the battles, you know, to any of the Canadian finals. And then all of a sudden, he's here at this Canadian final. He actually hosted it.
Okay.
Which was weird, and it kind of makes you think, you know, like he was just looking at at the marketing of it all because, yeah, this little young kid and he could win it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but not to take anything away because A-Track was dope. Like he was super dope back then. You know what I mean? Like he, so yeah, he proceeded to kick our asses. So D Scratch was the reigning champ from Canadian champ, and he was defending his title. So he came out for blood, but it wasn't enough, and so A-Track won. D came in second, Chaz came in third, and I came in fourth. And fourth place doesn't get anything, so you know what I mean. But yeah, it was definitely a legendary night, one for the books. I mean, you know, but then we the next year we entered as a team in the ITF battle, and that's where we won.
Okay.
So,
and so talk to us a little bit about. I mean, first of all, congratulations, because now that I'm also 10 years getting into the game, just kind of understanding the amount of preparation that goes in. Part of this podcast that I want to do is kind of have an audio archive for people to be able to kind of understand, like, the process by which DJs, the amount of work we put in. So to kind of prepare for one of those battles, I mean, how long would you probably prepare to feel ready?
Night and day, man. Like you're talking like as many hours as you can fit. Like, I mean, at the time I was out of school. You know what I mean? I wasn't in high school anymore, and I wasn't in college yet. And how was I? No, actually, no, I did a year of college. Yes, this was after that. So I had a lot of time, man. Like I might have had a part-time job, and I was, but everything was strictly devoted to working on that 6 minutes of funk. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what that's the time limit you have. You only have 6 minutes to, rock out. You know what I mean? And do your thing.
Right.
So you're spending like, you're training for like a year, man, till the next time it comes around, and you're working on finding a bunch of routines, be it juggles, be it a scratch routine, be it the intro, which is, usually where you talk about who you are and maybe throw jabs at your competitor, you diss them, you know what I mean? And I always came out for blood.
Right.
I actually posted that clip not too long ago of me, of that actual battle when I went up against A-Track.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it takes a lot of time, man. Like, I would come back from work, say, or whatever, and I would be like, I'd just be practicing, till the wee hours in the morning. And then, when we were practicing as a team, we would be getting to D's house at like 11, 12, midnight, and practice straight through to the next day till like 6 a.m.
Wow.
His mom was real cool. She let us blast the music, and we would come up with our stuff. Like, it was crazy.
Right. So it's no joke. So clearly lots and lots of hours of practice. So here's a question I had from someone watching the live. I mean, you shared one of your prouder moments. Maybe there's others. I know you said your crew won the ITF, but what was one of your more embarrassing moments? And it doesn't have to be from sort of the battle years. It could be from just any time that you've been DJing. I'm sure we've all have a few of those, whatever, gas blunders or what have you. But what was one of your more embarrassing moments as a DJ?
I've had a few, man. I mean, like I could tell you like a bunch of stories, but I'll tell you. I'll give you an occupational hazard story.
Okay.
Which is a lot funnier, because I mean I've had it all. Like I've had like, in the Serato days, your computer crashes, and you're screwed. For like whatever long it takes to get it back up and running. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've had playing a bunch of records that just kept on skipping, and what do you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be ready to rock no matter what. But I'll tell you a really crazy story.
Yeah, we want crazy. We want the juice. We're going into phase 2 of this talk, so we want the juice now.
Yeah, it's phase 2. We're in phase 2, right?
Yeah, I know.
So 2001, we went on tour. I was DJing for Thrust at the time. If you guys know Thrust, Mr. Northern Touch, one of the cats on that classic TO record, Canadian record really, because it was an all-star Canadian lineup. And so I was his tour DJ, and we were on tour with Baby Blue Sound crew, and the first stop in Toronto was at George Brown, and we're doing an outdoor show, and I'm DJing for Thrust. It's like, September-ish, Frosh Week, I want to say, at the universities and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm DJing. And it was like, it wasn't like hot, but I was wearing like a jean jacket, and I had the sleeves rolled up, and I'm like, I'm playing vinyl, so I was being mindful because the sun was out, and I didn't want my records to work, and I was keeping an eye on them, because the sun and vinyl don't mix, and basically, I start feeling this really like burning sensation on my arm.
Uh-oh.
And while I'm DJing, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, so I look at my arm, and when I look at my arm, I see this wasp like going to town on my arm, like just biting me. And I'm like, what? And I smacked it off my arm. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And then, so like I got stung basically.
Oh man.
And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, whatever. I start DJing, and then I start feeling another burning sensation on my other arm. And then I'm looking at there's another wasp, and I'm like, what's going on? I slap the wasp off, and then I look right in front of me, and there's like I'm not even lying to you. It was like I could even hear like the Wu-Tang music coming on. Wu-Tang Killer Bees, we're on the swarm. Dude, there was a swarm of wasps right in front of me.
Oh my god!
And I had to run off the set. Thrust is looking at me like, he's like, yo, where are you going? He's on the mic, and I'm like, yeah, man, I had to pretty much run away from a swarm of wasps.
Oh, that's crazy.
And all the while, the record was still playing, and I made it back before the song finished.
It
must have looked like some, like a comedy skit from like Benny Hill or something. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's hilarious! Wow. Well, good thing you didn't have like a larger reaction, right? So.
Oh no! I'm grateful I'm not allergic to wasps. Like.
No, absolutely. So let's kind of slide things forward a little bit. I mean, there's so much I want to ask you, but I guess in terms of sort of moving into like the current state of DJing, I guess maybe like tell us a little bit about why you became an instructor, or like how did that sort of evolve? And the reason why I'm going to say this is because there's a lot of times where DJs on your level who have practiced for long extensive hours, who've competed at the highest levels, have won competitions, and have developed their own style and routines. And, I'm sure almost, well, pretty much all the scratches, how to do them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes not every great, sort of like a master at their craft is a good teacher, right? Like if I were to think back to different sports figures, you have someone like Wayne Gretzky, arguably one of the top 10 hockey players of all time. But as a coach, he wasn't very successful. We have Michael Jordan being the GOAT, right? In the eyes of a lot of people, the best basketball player ever to live. But as an owner, like that same championship swagger has not transferred over as an owner. So, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey into becoming an instructor? Like how did that become a thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's timing really, and things just fell in my lap. I never really thought I'd would become a teacher of DJing, you know what I mean, or music production. Mm-hmm. But my old dear friend and former radio show host, co-host, was started at CHY with K9, also known as Sean. He was working for Parks and Rec, and this is around 2002, 2003. And he basically, he called me up one day. He's just like, yo, man, I'm running these rec center nights over at this community center, and we're looking to expand into music and stuff. And I was just thinking, maybe do you want to try, teaching DJ lessons here? And I'm like, okay. I mean, sure, let's try it out. Mm-hmm. And kind of went in there like I went in there like with no, expectations, and kind of just, just taught kids that would drop in, and I would kind of teach them like scratching and mixing and stuff. And it wasn't really any curriculum to say the least. I was just kind of going off the top, and it worked out. And I did that for several years, and then I ended up, doing a similar thing through Theo 3. He was at the Mazur Cowan Rec Center over at in Parkdale. Yeah. And it was me and myself teaching DJing, and 40, Drake's producer and engineer, when at the time when he was known as Mr. Shabib, and he was producing. He was actually teaching production on how to work at PC and stuff. So I teach DJ lessons. He teaches the production classes, and and then after that, Scratch Lab was born, which is where we connected, and I taught you there, and I became the main instructor there, and I've been, and every teaching gig kind of just fell in my lap. Same with Travis, same with Remix Project, same with Regent Park School of Music. You know what I mean? Like, And I think to be a great teacher or a good teacher is you have to be patient, and you have to, first and foremost, and you have to be a good listener. You know what I mean? And hear where where things are going right, or when things are going wrong. You know what I mean? And being able to adapt, because not everybody learns the same way. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, something I've definitely learned, kind of following in your footsteps, to kind of pay things forward, right? Just to kind of chime in, I mean, I do remember those Missouri Cowan days and kind of popping over there and seeing you and Theo doing your thing. It seemed that I would always seem to reach the end of it because I was, doing other outreach related things there. But what led me actually to Scratch Lab was that, my preamble to all this, ladies and gentlemen, was that I used to promote, and myself and a few other promoters would do a monthly party, and I would really be sort of knee deep with the DJs talking about the musical programming for that party. And being a club goer from the age of 21 to, my early 30s or whatever, my late 20s, I always wanted to fuse a party and make it a certain way. So even though I didn't know how to DJ, I would oftentimes get into friendly professional arguments with DJs because I wanted the sound to be a certain way. And so what happened was that I actually got a little bit frustrated with some of the DJs because, again, not dating myself here, but having gone out for at least 10 to close to 15 years and hearing most of the major DJs play their sets, if I knew what song was coming after the other, I said, how much more for the average club goer? So actually what drove me to start DJing was just maybe my arrogance, maybe my confidence. I just kind of said, hey, maybe I should learn to DJ myself so I can get things to where I want them to go. And then that actually what led me to Scratch Lab, actually. Yeah, that's what led me to Scratch Lab back in the day. So I want to make this time practical because I know there's a lot of other DJs that are listening and tuning in and other music goers. So I guess my question for you would be, what advice would you give to younger DJs or just even more experienced DJs? Well, actually, let's start off with younger DJs. What advice would you give to younger DJs who want to enter the realm of DJing during the time of COVID, or who have already entered? Like, what advice would you give to them to help them become more successful or become maybe the DJ that they've envisioned?
I would first and foremost tell them to practice. Like, practice. I can't stress, putting in that quote unquote 10,000 hours and just really, dig deep. And if you want to be the best, you got to put in the practice. Michael Jordan didn't become the GOAT without practicing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Like, we can make the analogy from sports to whatever. You know what I mean? It don't matter. You really got to put your work in, and that's first and foremost, and then find something that you really, I don't know, that kind of would be your calling card. You know what I mean? Like, separates you from the flock, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? But always study the greats. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. All DJing is relative. You know what I mean? Like, it's all, it's all about connecting songs. It's all about, creating a vibe, creating creating something. So it's really just that, and just practice that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that to even DJs who've been DJing for a long time. Like, you always got to stay sharp. You know what I mean? Like, you always got to practice. I mean, I'll tell you when I know when I'm not sharp, and that's when I haven't hit the tables in a while. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it happens to all of us. But if you're actively practicing, recording, making music, doing stuff, you'll always stay sharp. You know what I mean?
Right. So I just wanted to just interject quickly and stuff, and I definitely appreciate it because I remember you being one of my instructors, and I say this actually to my students as well, is I remember like it was yesterday is you always had it in quotes even on my little report card after those sessions, and you just put always be a student of the game. And I think that that's something that has sort of been always emblazoned in my head, is to just always be a student, always be listening, always be learning. And something I learned from another great Toronto DJ, one of my other DJ homies, Che La Soul, he would always say, just be open, you know? So when you hear other DJs playing, don't try to judge what they would do and say, oh, I would have done this instead of this guy, and I'm this and he's that. Just be open, just walk in neutral, enjoy yourself, and just try to learn something from another DJ. So those are a couple things that I've kind of picked up from, you know, him, from yourself. But I definitely would agree that practice is something that, it's always going to help you. And for all the listeners and all the DJs that are watching and people that kind of marvel at all these routines that these DJs do, like Grouch and all these other guys that are on YouTube and Instagram posting all their routines, just understand that the reason why they got there is because they practice like endless hours, and they still practice, which is why they continue to put out the videos, right? So that it keeps their skills sharp and stuff.
Exactly.
Grouch, I wanted to kind of transition to another question quickly that one of our listeners had is, you know, what would be the biggest challenge to overcome DJ wise?
I mean, is the biggest challenge, I guess, is probably just, you know, is growing your audience, I would say. But now, even that isn't as challenging as it was back in the day. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have social media at your disposal, pretty much free promotion on any platform. Mm-hmm. You know, you can. So that's really, that's not a challenge. That was like the biggest challenge back in the day. I don't know. I guess maybe finding your own lane. You know, creating a lane for yourself, I would say. Right. And would you have any like advice or tips on maybe how someone could go about doing that? Like, I know that the genre or the art form of DJing is constantly evolving. So what might be a trend or a path that maybe someone who's thinking about entering the DJ field, or someone who already is in the DJ field but wants to level up, like what are some maybe tips from your years of experience of maybe how someone could position themselves to kind of start emerging? What do you think are some things that could be done? Well, I definitely think every DJ should have their own party, and you know, that they throw, and maybe multiple, you know, different parties, and that could be your signature event. You know what I mean? Like, right. Scratch Bastard, the Bastard's Barbecue, right? Start from scratch. He's got his Get On Up. He's got his Breakfast Club. He's got, so, you know, you got to, you know, there's that old, mantra, you know, if you build it, they'll come. Yeah, I mean, it can happen. And if you have a good name out there and you know, and you just know a lot of people, you can build something, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know, right now, I mean, during these COVID times, it's not really an option, but when we get back to reality, hopefully sooner than later, but now you can start planning and stuff and working on things, you know, and then there's always like these, you know, you can live stream the party in a sense and start building it that way too, right? So, yeah, absolutely. I think that's it's finding your niche and what you want to convey musically. You know what I mean? Because there's so many avenues, and it really just depends on you and what you like. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what your tastes are. So it's kind of a perfect segue, because I actually had two people ask me this question, right? Is sort of someone entering the scene now during COVID, but I had a question that was in this age of COVID, how does a DJ transition from predominantly a live group setting to a digital social distancing
remote world. So you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what could a DJ do, kind of transitioning from the traditional live space to what we're kind of faced with now? What would you?
Well, I would definitely, I would use all your resources, all your connections, and really just, use it to your full advantage. I mean, I gotta even say, for me, I haven't really taken advantage of all this live streaming stuff that's been going on, but I've had a few minor setbacks here and there. Mm-hmm. But it's all about navigating through it, and if you really want to do it, you'll put the time and effort and build something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, a DJ starting now, and if you have like a group of 20 to 30 solid friends, and you could start promoting it to them, and then in turn they'll promote it to their friends and other acquaintances and so forth and so forth. And plus you have social media, you can just keep posting daily about it. Every day I get some kind of notification about somebody going live on Twitch. You know what I mean? So
hey, by the way, are you following me, man? I haven't seen you in my chat room yet.
yeah, I got to do that. See, I'm not really up on my Twitch game like I should be, but this week I'm actually going to be doing some stuff with it. So yeah, man, it's again, you have all these things at your disposal, and it's an interesting time to be in. You know what I mean?
No,
but
absolutely.
look at what happened to I mean, everybody talks about what happened, but like, look what happened to D Nice. He became like the poster boy for the COVID, the COVID party, right? So
Club Quarantine.
Club Quarantine. And he's doing it. You know what I mean? Like, he was already a big name anyway in the celebrity and corporate world, but now he's parlayed it into this monstrous, he's the poster boy for the movement, right?
So I think it's a great question. So this is actually from my brother, so much love, bro. Appreciate you asking this. And also from Kim, asked a similar question in terms of life as a DJ now. So again, just to share for myself, I've been trying to wrap my mind around what DJing is going to be like moving into the future, and definitely seems that we'll either be DJing with smaller audiences. As I did mention at the beginning of the show, some of the places in the States have opened up, but because the numbers spiked up again, they've had to shut down. Texas is one place I mentioned. I think maybe Toronto, we have a bit of a better chance because we've been really, really on it and really following it, and the health officials have been really holding people back despite the sunshine. But as Grouch did mention, there are a lot of really great online methods. The first show we did talk about Facebook and IG and stuff and some of the complications there. But if you're a DJ who's listening and you're looking to up your online game, there's definitely Twitch is a place you can go to. There's Periscope. There's Twitch. There's Periscope. Oh, also there's Mixcloud as well.
Yep, Mixcloud.
Where you can stream. And you can stream in these areas where you're not going to get a warning. You're not going to get your video cut off because of copyright issues. And again, if you want to know more about that, listen to the first podcast. But there are some apps out there. I do keep in contact with one DJ in California, and there's actually an app called Bigo. I believe it's called Bigo, Bigo Live, and you can kind of go on there. But again, all these apps, they do take a little bit of groundwork to kind of get people moving on to them, but there are some outlets for you to continue. I've done Zoom, I've done House Party, and I've also done Google Meets. I've actually done a DJ workshop for some youth with Peel Region. So I think if you're willing to take the plunge and try something new, some things can really open up for you if you kind of dive in and embrace the technology. I must admit myself, I'm a bit of I don't have the best luck with technology, but I think it's mainly more because I'm not very patient. I'm that guy who, when he gets a new gadget, I see the instruction manual, but I say, I don't really need that. And I start fiddling around with things, trying to figure it out. So, but there are some outlets. So Grouch, I want to kind of move the conversation now to sort of like the future of where you see DJing going, give you kind of an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the groups that you work with and some of the work that you're doing. So I have a question that I am going to get to momentarily that just came in. But one thing I wanted to ask you is that, like, how do you balance practicing, downloading, practicing your cuts, production, keeping up with new music? Like, how do you balance all that? Like, what are some effective ways that you found have been helpful for you to kind of manage your time doing all this?
I think you kind of set aside a few days for downloading and organizing. I think it's very key. Organizing is so important. Can't stress how important it is. And this is coming from a guy who I would say is 30% organized of the core music that I use when I would play out. But the rest is kind of all over the place. But yeah, I would say, you should set aside a few times out of the week to do your organizing and stuff. And practice whenever you can. It gets harder as you're older and as you're adulting. If you're married or you got kids, you know what I mean? Or maybe, DJing isn't your bread and butter, but it's like your side thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just find a way of balancing it. If you're really passionate about it, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so
I would
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Oh, I was going to say, I guess, so that's great. So, I mean, setting aside some days, setting aside some time, for all the new DJs, everyone looking to up their game. I know for me, Mondays is usually a day that I would download music. I would do a routine video. I would try to listen to some new music to get more familiar with what's out there and really take it in. So that's something that I do. So, and as DJ Gouch said, setting aside a couple days to get that time in, and I guess as we call it, labbing, right? So you're in the lab and you're kind of working on things. I guess I wanted to mention, because I know now that I've been in this game 10 years and been full-time now almost 8 this coming December will be almost 8 years, self-employed, where my world was all about music and people, and just understanding the commitment that it takes to kind of DJ-wise stay on top of your game. A question I had for you, because I know you mentioned production, like, should DJs look to produce? Should they not? Like, what is your maybe feelings around the production element?
DJing and producing go hand in hand. Some of the best DJs are producers. Some of the best producers are DJs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Dr. Dre was a DJ. Jay Dilla was a DJ. The Beat Nuts are DJs. You can go on. Large Professor, Pete Rock, Premier. That's just hip hop dudes. I mean, Kenny Dope, Armin Van Helden. We can go on from every in any genre. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. I would try. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many crazy apps now, and it's so easy, man. Like back in the day, like I started on dual cassette decks, which is
oh man,
what they call the pause mix.
Hold on a second. Let's just pause. You said cassette deck, okay? There's people's minds right now that are exploding as they're listening.
But yeah, I mean that's how it was back in the day. You know what I mean? You would, I would find a drum break or something, and I would catch the drum break, and I would hit record on the tape and let go of the beat at the same time. Pause the tape, bring that back, record again, and proceed to create a loop on that for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes of just the drums.
Right.
Then I'd move over that cassette to the other deck, press play on the deck with the drums, and press record on the other deck, and then I would throw in the melody, whatever sample I was throwing in, on top of those drums.
Mm-hmm.
And that's before I even had a sampler, you know what I mean? That's how I would make my beats, right?
Dope. So dope.
But now I could be talking to you on this phone right now, and I could be making a beat on an app on my phone. It's that crazy right now. Like technology is ridiculous.
Right. No, it is. It's definitely open things up. So let's talk about that a little bit, like the sort of the digitization of the genre. Like, in your sort of opinion, do you feel that it's helping the craft of DJing, or do you think it's hurting? Because I know you have, having learned under you and other DJs, I know that you didn't have some of this technology, so maybe the approach and how you learned was a bit different. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, do you find that, again, the digitization of the genre, do you feel that it's a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I mean, you have to always adapt with the times, but you know, vinyl's never going to go away. It's here to stay. So I mean, you know, a lot of the current music still comes out on vinyl, which is great. But I mean, we've moved into that, and now the next phase is really, it's going to be the cloud. You know what I mean? Like, you already have all these streaming sites, and they're becoming compatible with these DJ DAWs. You know what I mean? Like, Serato works with Tidal and SoundCloud, and
yeah,
you know, DJ City and Beatport have come up with some of their own thing. You know what I mean? So that's where we're headed. That's the next step. I don't, you know, we just have to be able to adapt.
Right.
But the old ways are still going to be around. You know what I mean? I think there's no playing an MP3 versus playing the song on a vinyl. There's no comparison.
Right.
It's night and day, man.
Right. And in your estimation, which one do you think is better?
Oh, I mean,
like sound wise, because I don't know myself. So in terms of the sound from vinyl or MP3, what?
There's no comparison, man. You play a copy of More Bounce to the Ounce on 12-inch vinyl versus playing a highly, you know, a high quality digitized version of the song on MP3. There's no comparison. The analog sound is just full of life. You know, there's tons of frequencies that are missing when it's converted to MP3 and it's compressed, and there's a lot of stuff that you know, falls to the wayside when that occurs.
So I guess if you were to kind of break it down in another way, sort of like maybe if an analog is considered like the steak and filet mignon, and you should do it what is it, rare, medium rare, but then you do it well done. So it's kind of like, for the MP3 version, it's been too stripped of, I guess, the life, the juice. I guess, is that
exactly
a good comparison?
Yeah, exactly.
So just and then I guess from the standpoint of, if I could be a bit more specific, in your estimation, with the digital elements as it comes to a new DJ learner, do you think that the digital aspect helps young DJs, or do you think it hurts young DJs? I know we're broad stroking it, but just wanted to get your...
I don't think it's great. I think of whatever way you can get your foot in, but also you should also learn. It's like driving a car, you know what I mean? If you learn automatic and you don't learn manual, you know what I mean, you'll never be able to adapt to the other way. So I think you should learn both ways, you know what I mean? Like, should try everything, you know, like, you know, some people came up on virtual DJing or just DJing on CDJs or a controller, but when you get a chance, you should try using vinyl.
Right.
And then you'll see how difficult it was, you know, to do it.
No, absolutely. I know it's interesting for me, my journey and trajectory into things, because I was taught, like, initially on vinyl, like the very, very old school way, the original way, but I'd never really had the patience for it. And then I guess coming to you over at Scratch Lab, things became maybe a little bit easier for me because I was maybe more patient. But then, like, I just found it was a bit challenging at first, but I'm very glad that I did learn on vinyl and now have a comfort on a controller or on a CDJ. So if you're a young DJ out there, veteran DJ, like maybe shake it up, try playing on something different just to kind of make the feel of everything a little bit different. And if you're a young DJ that's only DJ'd on a controller, maybe rent out some CDJs. Maybe if you can get your hands on turntables or a different device, try it out just to kind of shake yourself up out of maybe certain patterns and routines. I know one of the things I always talk to the DJs I talk about is not to get Serato face, where they're just kind of staring at the waveforms and they become kind of like a zombie, and just looking at the waveforms going by on the screen, but to really use your ear and to look up at the crowd to make sure that people are actually still dancing to the selections that you've chosen, right? You can't have your head buried so deep in the computer that when you look up, you realize that you've killed the dance floor, right? So
you have to keep that connection with the dance floor, like the eye contact with, that one person who's dancing the whole night. That's your best friend right there. So never lose that connection.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of other nuggets that I want to get to here. So we're going to really speed things through the last part. If you're just tuning in, this is Music is Everything podcast. We're here with legendary DJ, producer, battle champion, DJ for Fido Blanco, Maestro Fresh West, DJ Grouch. I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what it's like touring as a DJ.
It's been amazing. I mean, it's always a great experience. You know what I mean? Like, just going to different cities and connecting with fans or just meeting other people, like-minded individuals. You know what I mean? I've been blessed to have been a part of a bunch of great tours with some of the best from our city. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you were to tell me when I was 16 years old that I would be DJing for Maestro Fresh West, funny thing was when I told you that story about the turntable, that same year I got gifted his album as a present, Symphony in Effect. And, that was, to me, that was just like a crazy, surreal experience, because I got this record as a 16-year-old kid and I was like, oh, Maestro, man, he's like from our city, he's doing it, he's killing it. And then I end up DJing for him, like 5 years later, 6 years later, you know what I mean? So
it's like
it's like full circle. So I always count my blessings. I'm always grateful for that. These guys recognized that I was, doing my thing and repping for DJing out here, and abroad, and they wanted me to back them up.
Yeah.
So I'm forever grateful to have connected with so many dope artists from this city and around the world. So, and to go out there and do shows for people, it's incredible. From like a little intimate show to like stadiums, it's been awesome.
Yeah, no, I can't even imagine what that experience would be like. That's my personal goal, is to be, like Kanye West says, stadium status, right? Is to do a show with an act of some kind, right? That's definitely on my bucket list. I'm going to ask you a bucket list question in a second. But for maybe a younger DJ or someone who's been in the game a while, like maybe they want to start touring, like, do you have any advice around maybe what someone should do or how they should go about trying to connect with somebody to maybe initiate something? Do you have any kind of advice, a better way to go about it than another way? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, we're all connected now. The world has become smaller through the internet, so you can start building relationships online with other DJs in other cities and maybe do some sort of like cross promotion of sorts. You know what I mean? Like, hey, save up some money and just put together a little small budget and maybe head to Europe, and like when this is all said and done, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what I mean? Like, you make a little trip to Europe, and then you I don't know, you're going to be in London a couple nights, and you got your UK homie out there that does a night. You figure out a way to get like a little guest spot on one of his nights, and then you do the same for him when he comes up to Toronto. You know what I mean? You got to definitely invest in yourself. I think people have this have this misconception of that, like, you know, you're going to become rich off of DJing, but you gotta really invest in yourself. You gotta spend money in order to make money. You know what I mean? But making money shouldn't be the primary focus. You know what I mean? It should always be about the passion that you have and the love for the music, first and foremost. All the other stuff will come after. You know what I mean?
Right. No, some really great nuggets, and I think now with everything being virtual, you can kind of slide in someone's DM, you can hit them up, you can email them. People have a website, so you can really reach out to people and start building those relationships. And I think now that we're in COVID, I think to make use of that time, if you're a DJ that wants to level up, now is the time to start chatting about that. I did talk a little bit about this last week with Garrett the DJ, which was like how to network and some email etiquette. So again, if you want to hear that podcast, listen to last week's. It's up on the iLive Radio podcast, which is on Spotify. So I'm going to ask you, we've got about 15 minutes left, and I wanted to ask you, for you, I mean, you've been a DJ for 30 years. You've played in all the major venues, some that aren't even here anymore because of condo life in Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you provide the back end for Fido Blanco, Los Poetas, and also Maestro Fresh West and a variety of other acts. So for you, like, I mean, what's next on your DJ bucket list? What's the next thing that you want to accomplish?
For me, it's more about dropping more music. Really, just I'm more drawn to production more than anything else. I still want to keep DJing, you know what I mean, and doing events, but I don't want to just do any kind of events, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be doing like a weekly gig where I'm just playing, you know, radio hits and stuff like that. Though some of those gigs are cool, but it get boring fast. But for me, it's just being able to like release more of my music and you know, be it production, like original productions or remixes. You know what I mean? I that was a big step for me, you know, back in October when I released my 45 of that Nas Life's a Bitch remix that I did.
Yes.
So I mean, I've been part of groups. I've put out records, like I put out Wax, but this is all me. Like, I put all my money into it. I got the artwork done. I got, you know, the recording sessions done. You know what I mean? I paid for mixing. I paid for mastering. You know, start to finish, that was all me. So I want to keep doing that. I think it was my first go around for that, and I learned some things, and I just want to keep, you know, putting out a string of releases, you know what I mean? And I think having the physical copies is a really cool thing, because I still feel like people, this, not just the collectors and DJs, but some people like having tangible things in their hands, you know what I mean? Not just some digitized version with the album cover, you know what I mean? So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, that's really it, man. I mean, there's some places I'd love to go to DJ. You know, for me, my bucket list gig would be being able to DJ back home in Panama, you know, just to, and maybe do some hip hop shit out there. And obviously some cultural stuff, but, and maybe I'll be able to play like a dope reggae set, because Panama is really, you know, big on reggae, you know what I mean? And yeah, just being able to rock out there, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or even in Colombia too. Like, Colombia has Hip Hop al Parque, which is a big festival out there. Like, they bring out, like, you know, Wu-Tang, Boot Camp Click, you name it. Everybody's performed at Hip Hop al Parque, which is in Bogota, in the capital. I'd love to do something like that. Love to play in Japan, Brazil,
okay,
London. You know,
so
those types of spots would be something I'd like to do before I kick the bucket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's good. So there's still some things in the tank that you want to achieve, and I think for me personally, someone who's known you from our high school days, and then even for myself now, sometimes I look up to guys like yourself and other DJs to kind of say, well, what's next, right? And so I think for a guy who's been in the field as long as you have, I think the fact that you're still reaching for things, I think, you know, I know it's inspiring for other people to see, and I think it also gives people a sense of hope, right? That this craft, this art form that we do for ourselves, that love and that passion, that there's still other layers and other levels to what we do, right? So if you're a younger DJ and maybe someone's told you this isn't something that you can do full time or whatever, I mean, Grouchy's an instructor at Trebis and a variety of other not-for-profits. He does production. So there's a lot of avenues in which you can go if you want to really grow your brand and branch out and do things. It's not just necessarily all about the gigs, right? So, so we've got about 8 minutes left. I kind of wanted to have you actually talk a little bit about Los Poetas. Tell us a little bit about the work you're doing with them. Where can we find out more about what that's all about, and if you have any upcoming projects with them?
Yeah, I mean, Los Poetas has been around for like 6 years or so, since 2014, I would say. They dropped their self-titled album. I joined after that album, but I did do some scratching on the project, and then I became their show DJ, and then I became the official, DJ and side producer of the group, because the main producer is Vago out of Vancouver. He produced the first album, and then the remix album, and then the EP as well. And I did a couple of joints on a few of those projects and a remix as well. But yeah, man. I met Che and Lou early on in the game, like out here in the hip hop scene. There wasn't too many Latinos out here involved in hip hop. So, the block is hot again. Once again, sorry. So basically, yeah, I mean, I met those guys early on, like in the 90s, and Toronto's not like a New York or a Miami or an LA with like, with like a big Latino enclave, like, the New York's got a lot of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and Miami with the Cubans, and LA with the Mexicans or whatever. But, we just all gravitated towards each other because we had similar, upbringings and backgrounds, and we just connected that way. And then, it just, I think as you get older, you kind of fall back into your culture. You know what I mean? Like, as a teenager, you kind of rebel from your parents and you stray away from that stuff. Like, I didn't really speak a lot of Spanish as a teen. And most of the people I grew up around were West Indian and stuff. I mean, and Panamanians typically have that duality because we're Latino, but a lot of us, we're also identified with the West Indian side because of that influence in the culture, right?
Absolutely.
So there's that duality there. A lot of my best friends and homies growing up were all Jamaican and West Indian, you know what I mean? And I didn't gravitate towards that side of my culture, like, till, I was older. And when I went back to Panama for the first time, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, it's just funny how you fall back into it. And, like I started sampling some of the records that I used to hear that my dad would play, you know what I mean? And I made beats from that stuff. So
I've got a few of those lovely edits, so thank you for that.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's cool, man. It just grew organically. Los Poetas happened really organically, man. It just it wasn't forced. And been on a bit of a hiatus, but we got some things cooking. We have an album kind of recorded, but we're reworking it, and we're just gonna keep recording, man, and probably drop something sooner than later.
No, we definitely.
It's just kind of hard navigating through these COVID conditions, but
definitely.
Yeah, man. Expect some new music from the crew. Individually, they've been doing the thing. Che's been doing projects, and you know what I mean. And He's been releasing all kinds of music. So shout out to Jay. He's always been on the solo tip from time. So
no, that's dope. That's dope. So we have about 4 minutes left, and I'm gonna kind of round out some things with some rapid fire questions. So, yeah, I appreciate all you've been sharing so far. This is really rich. I'm learning a lot here. So who is your favorite hip hop artist?
Of all time?
Yeah, you got to pick one. This is rapid fire. Rapid fire. Who's your favorite artist?
Oh man, favorite rapper, favorite MC is Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane, dope. What's your favorite shoe?
Air Jordan 4s.
All right. Favorite Toronto restaurant?
Wow. There's so many. Favorite Toronto restaurant? I would say... Shoot. Man.
Do you want to pass? We'll come back to that.
Man, I'm a foodie, so there's so many. Like I don't know. Like I'll pass.
All right. Cool. What's one music video that you'll never forget?
Thriller.
Yeah, me too. If you could produce a beat for one artist, whom would it be?
Big Daddy Kane.
Okay. And if you could DJ for any celebrity, who would it be? And don't say Big Daddy Kane.
No, I'm not gonna say Big Daddy Kane. Any celebrity? Who I think is a cool celebrity? Let me see. Who's the dude from the Today Show? What's that guy's name?
Is it Fallon?
No, man. The dude from South Africa. What's his name again?
Oh, Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah, yes.
Yeah.
I DJ for Trevor Noah.
All right, man. Listen, I don't want to get you cut off. We've got about a minute left, guys. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. All the questions, all the comments, all the energy. We're here with legendary DJ Grouch, and you can follow him on most social. I think it's djgrouch.com, correct?
Yeah, djgrouch.com is the website, and all socials is DJ Grouch.
All right.
Mine is Twitch. Twitch is DJ-Grouch. They screwed me over.
Someone snaked you.
Yeah.
It was me. You can buy the account off me for $3 million.
Oh, so you're the gamer guy that took my name. Okay.
Yep. No, bro, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting up with me today and being on iLive Radio, the Music is Everything podcast. Really appreciate you. Much love and look forward to continuing to build with you as the time progresses.
Word up, bro. Thank you for